Okay guys, so this is going to be my second video today, but I felt it was important because so many of you are, especially over on Instagram, asking questions about the executive order that Biden put out today. And if you haven't read that, it's not that long, go through and read it. You may not understand all of the terminologies, but start building your base of information, a foundation of start to learn some of these things that, the language that they're using. But the main thing that you need to know is that they are putting regulations. They're saying, hey, yeah, we see that the system is working. Duh. They've known that, right? But hey, so now we're actually telling you that, yes, this is what we're doing. And we are looking at a CBDC, a central backed digital currency, central bank digital currency. And I've told you before that I don't really like CBDC because of the name of it being centralized. I'm still looking for a way that, and I know that it can be through different technologies to have a decentralization of that. But as of right now, you've got these nations actually being led by China of their digital currency. Then you've got Europe putting out one. Now you've got the United States. Actually go and look at any of the nations and you will see where they have either piloted or use it. Russia has, Ukraine has, and what do we have going on between them right now that has caused this geopolitical situation that we even have to look like if the situation with Ukraine were to get worse, we're going to look at other geopolitical, geoeconomic situations that can cause these things for everyone around the world to start feeling them at even a greater rate. So I made myself some notes that I wanted to, just from questions that people had sent in. One of the things when you're looking at the governmental system saying, hey, we're going to regulate it now, you have to look at it from their point of view. They're going to want to pump their bags, right? The system's going in place. We're going to see a pump like we have today. We have seen that the crypto market has gone up about anywhere from like 9 to 10%. What happened to oil? What happened to oil during that time? It went down about the same percentage because what does that show you? What did I tell you yesterday? Watch to see what pumps and what dumps. So the big thing is, hey, we're not going to be using that petrodollar anymore. And what did you see today when they released this information and this executive order? What started dumping was the oil. What went up was the digital assets, because it's always been a plan to go, we're going to that digital currency. We're going to use that, but we have to have a transition period. We have to go. And this is where you see problem, reaction, solution. You're watching that play out in real time. Think about this. So oil right now is the big deal because gas prices are extremely high. What is the solution that's already out there as to why we're not going to do the oil thing anymore, and we're making it so high that you're not going to want to use it? Because the whole plan is to go to sustainable energies, to electric cars. And then if they refuse to drill, what does that do? That's going to drive up the prices. Do we have oil that is here in America that could actually sustain us for over 100 years? Absolutely. But then you bring in the climate change issues. This is why they're even putting out these things about the meat right now, because what are all these other companies are coming in with genetically modified meat? So you can see these places. Remember, this goes back to this reset that we've been talking about and the plan that is in place. All right. One of the things I was going to talk about also, when you're talking about Ukraine, we still have a very strong possibility that there could be some type of peace deal. So we're going to be watching for that, because you also have China right now saying, hey, I'm going to take Taiwan. They took Hong Kong back. Why aren't they looking at taking Taiwan? And what is that going to do for the geopolitical structure of nations? The other thing is you've got a lot of people right now who are looking at hyperinflation as a very real issue. We have inflation going on at the moment. Now, when you start pumping up gas prices, there was I don't remember what news article this was out of, but it was talking about gas could possibly go to $15 to $20. Can you imagine who's going to be driving at that point, right? It's going to push you to get that electric car, right? Okay. Somebody sent me a message yesterday. They're like, hey, have you seen how much the batteries are to replace in those electric cars? They're $6,000. What normal person right now has the ability to go first purchase a $56,000 electric car? There's not even enough electric cars to do that. Elon Musk has even come out and saying how many years it would take to be able to get everyone in the nations actually an electric car. So you can't just turn these things off immediately. There has to be a transition period. It's not saying that we don't need sustainable energy or maybe new ways of doing it or cleaner ways. And those things are here and we have been using them, but yet we're told, nope, hold on, we got to transition the whole thing at one time because we got to have this reset. All right, so then you've got, this is a very big deal too. Today, they announced that we are giving $14 billion to who? To Ukraine. But we're not going to give $4 billion for our own border and security. There are a lot of things, and if you listen to my dream that I posted earlier today, you're going to see where I talked about some of the things that are going on that we have to actually be aware of and looking at, like, where has America failed and where does America need to kind of reestablish some of the things that it's been doing and be very cognizant of how we're moving forward and what we say about things. But pumping $14 billion over into Ukraine right now, and we've got inflation on the rise, we have gas prices on the rise, but we're sending out the taxpayers' money to Ukraine. Not that we shouldn't help people, but we've got to look deeper into what the actual problem that was created for this solution that's out there that's already been established, that they've been waiting for a perfect time to bring this solution forward. And what is that? To flip the switch on the financial system. Now, will the financial system immediately, like, is it digitalized right now? No. We are moving to that. There's a transition period, but that could take a year, maybe 2 years to completely take us off the fiat system, move into this digitalized system. But in that, you're seeing prices rise so fast that it is starting to hurt everyone's pocketbook, not just here, but all over the world. And you have governments who are switching people off because they don't like what they're talking about, protesting. They don't agree with them. They're not in alignment with them. That is a possibility from going all digitalized. But in a kingdom reset, I have a huge warning around this from what I've seen in dreams. And when I pray about this, is that we need to keep a form of actual physical currency in order to, it's almost like a protective measure around ourselves. So we want to push for that, to keep a form of of actual physical money that we can actually use apart from the digital system, because we've seen what's happened in other nations when they turn you off. In Russia, you can't use your MasterCard, your Visa. There were some reports of people who were traveling overseas who were from Russia. All of a sudden, they can't even use their stuff to even get back home because all of their assets have been frozen from those companies. That's a real issue and a real problem and something that we should all be paying attention to. Let's see what else I had written down. Oh, okay. This goes into like tent cities, to refugees, to housing people, to pumping money in and bringing people into the nation. It's the analogy of like when a boat is sinking and you just add more stuff onto it, like it's going to sink. You've got to fix the holes in the bottom of the boat before you add more onto it. And what we have right now, I think it was in Phoenix, and then here in Texas, it's been happening. And then also, I know there's been reports out of Florida and many other nations where we have seen refugees out of Afghanistan that are being flown, dropped off into these hotels. They're being given money. They have cards that they can use. That money, where is that coming from? It's still coming from the governmental slush fund, from the taxpayer dollars. And so those things, it's not that we shouldn't be helping people. That's not it at all. So please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But we have a sinking ship right now with lots of holes in the bottom of our boat that we're going to have to fill those holes before we can take on more. And so there's got to be some type of system put in place to be able to fix the sinking ship first. One of the things that they're doing right now is that you've got a whole group of ruling class people who have said, well, we're not going to be able to pay off those debts, so I know what we're going to do. What are we going to do? We're going to flip that switch, and we're going to go to a new system that we have in place, this digitalized system. And before we do that, we're going to allow all of our bags to be packed. And see, what happened was they didn't see that this time that wisdom was falling onto lots of people to see the system that they were putting in place, to be awakened to it, to understand what was happening and see it. See, we want to go to a digitalized system. That's okay, but what are we going to do with the system? And are we going to keep an actual physical currency? And what will that system be backed by? Even the physical currency that we keep, we want to have a precious metal, gold-backed, silver-backed currency. I think it was in Canada yesterday. No, I think it was in Europe yesterday that nickel went so high that they turned it off. They turned off the trading of it because it pumped up so high yesterday. And so you're starting to see manipulation. There's a lot of manipulation around the price of silver right now. And you've seen gold go up today. Now, gold kind of stayed, I think it went down a little bit, but what did you see? You saw that money flowing into the crypto space based on the executive order instead of flowing into that gold that it has been for the last few days. Okay, let me see if there was anything else of questions people asked. A lot of people are like, well, what can we do? If we're seeing this, what can we do? One, you've got to stay engaged. You've got to be activated. You go into prayer. You ask, what am I to do? How am I to prepare? How can I prepare for my physical family, for the physical way of this new geoeconomic system that we're walking into that is going to transition everything that I've always known? And part of it is in physical things, land, real estate, businesses. You have to watch the businesses though, because what happened during the pandemic was that they shut down those businesses. They shut down the mom and pops, but what rose? The corporate corporations, the corporate businesses. So we have to be very careful about who we're shopping and buying from right now. We have a choice of where we spend our money. So are you giving it to the mom and pop shops, or are you giving it to the corporations? So really be cognizant about where you're spending your money. Are you going to the grocery store, or can you actually use a local farmer? Who is your money flooding into right now? Precious metals, gold and silver, of course, natural resources, and having a community, making sure that you know the community around you, that you're all preparing. I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago, I was storing food in like freezing meat because I saw this coming. So I prepared for my family to buy it, then freeze it, so that right now I'm not going to the store and buying a $25 steak. I already have some steak that I had purchased in. So pay attention to those things because we're going to see prices rise even a little bit more. I hate to say that we're going into hyperinflation, and I pray that that doesn't happen. But I was shown that in some dreams, so I am going to say that I did see that, but I am praying that that does not happen. But if it were, there's no fear in it when you're prepared for it because you understand it, you see, your eyes are open, you are pressing in, you're asking for wisdom, you're taking the knowledge that you're seeing these events, these geopolitical events, you're not being distracted by them, but all the while paying attention to exactly what is being put in front of your face. And then pray about it. How should you prepare? Okay, I think that may have been it. Yeah, I think that's probably all I would talk about in this one. And it's just paying attention. Be aware. Don't get into the fear mongering. Don't go down the path of being scared, but also be very wise. And how can you economically prepare right now? And what should you be watching? Watch some of these cryptos, watch some of these currencies that are going on, but be very wise in the ones that you are investing in. Very wise in the ones you're investing in, because I've seen eventually where a lot of those will go away because they need to have assets behind them. They need to have some type of utility behind them. They need to have a what is the term? Technology behind them and a use case behind them going to the blockchain, because that is a system that we're going to. It really matters who the leaders are during those transitions and those changes. So that's why we have to be engaged. I think we still have a little bit of time to prepare, to look, to fight for the things that we want to keep around, while also transitioning into a space that can be good. It can be used for good. And if you haven't watched my video on the Great Reset versus the Kingdom Reset, there's two that I have about that specifically talk about that in greater detail. So I would encourage you to go watch those if you have not. Okay. Leave your questions. If you have any comments about it, if you have other examples for people, because I know some of you have been writing back and forth in the comments on the other videos about this, about what you've seen or what you think is a good preparation plan going forward, make sure that you leave that below. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.